Bubba built it.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this week's video. We're going to discuss the dash on Generalissimo and the challenges that we've been facing going forward and moving that ball forward. As you may recall, we are working with a 2013 Dodge Challenger, and we have the dash pad here for the instrument cluster, which is still here.
Let's go get it. Where's that
Yeah,
at?
it's hanging out over.
So again, these things, they kind of evolve as you move along.
We were originally hoping that we could use this.
The first thought, was to go ahead and leave this in place, and then integrate the original Charger dash around it. Sorry, Sonny.
And pop rivet this.
Yeah, no, that's a test pop rivet.
Yeah, right.
I did that just to see, because okay, let's talk about pop rivets. Okay.
You have several different types.
Yeah. Okay. I think this. Look, I love these kind of pieces of tidbits of information because they really are important. There's a difference in pop rivets, and if you don't get the right one, you're not going to have the result that you want. So let's go over here. We got two different style of pop rivets. I did a test on this because I'd done one somewhere else and it didn't catch. These are exploding pop rivets. I really love these exploding pop rivets. Probably put my glasses on. Okay. They're calling that a peel back rivet, okay? But essentially what this is they have grooves in the pop rivet. I don't know if you're going to be able to see those. You see the grooves cut in it?
Yep.
All right. So that when this thing pops, what it does is halfway, and you can see that one didn't engage correctly. You see that? See only two of the ears? There's three ears. One of them's gone. Oh, can you see it?
Yeah, you can see it.
And that one, there's a hole there, and there's no pop rivet. Why? Because it didn't catch at all. And so I pulled it back out. All right. So the way that works is when it pulls back, it bends right in the middle. It's the weak point. And it's a really good looking pop rivet on the back side. So when you look at these on the back side, where's the dashboard at?
Okay, well, I mean, by comparison, right? That right there looks a lot better than the one that's what we call the banana one, right?
Okay, so thank you, Lee, for introducing the banana. So that's exactly what we're talking about next.
And I'll just switch over to a shot, because what I'm going to do is I'll go to the Trans-Slammed and go to the inside.
We got banana pop rivets all over
everywhere.
And the banana pop rivets are kind of ugly. Where did I do with the box?
But
I got a whole box of banana.
Really well.
Yeah. So the banana pop rivet. All right, since I don't have one here, I brought that whole box. Don't
worry about it. Just talk about it, and guess what?
Okay.
This is the magic of editing.
The magic of editing.
I will take.
Okay.
Right here.
I got it. Yeah, you convinced me. All right. So instead of having these grooves cut in the banana style, it's solid shank. All right. But the head has got cutters built into it, where when it pulls, it cuts and peels it like a banana. All right, and they're a little bit ugly on the backside. They really are. But the cool thing about those is, so let's look at this again. So I got that through there, and now I've also got a piece of material here as well, and it's going to bend right in the middle there, and it doesn't catch. But the banana style starts to cut here and bend here, and it just peels and bends and just gets the perfect.
Grabs. So
it's uglier, but if you've got a thicker area that you've got to connect, then you got to have the banana style.
Yep.
And so I've got some of these left, and they're really nice for metal on metal. But if you're doing anything that's thicker or they got multiple layers, more than just 2 layers, then you really want to go with the banana peel.
And we just got a whole bunch of those in yesterday.
Yeah, we bought 250 of them, and so we're ready to go. And the reason I say all that is because we're wanting to pop rivet this dash together. Okay, so look, this is the dash.
Okay, wait. Go back to, we were going to use that dash pad, and then we were realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is really way thicker than what it needs to be.
Okay. Yeah. So body swaps. modern chassis are a lot thicker and taller than old chassis. They just are. And so whenever you're going to try to attempt a body swap, that's one of the first things that you've got to figure out. Otherwise, you're going to put something together and it's going to be thick where it shouldn't be, and it's going to look like you look like a fat person in jogging, in yoga pants. It's just not going to look right. The proportions are going to be wrong. So anyway, all that being said, we got this thing down. The body is way lower on the chassis than what it was originally. This car is not thick like a 2013 Challenger is, but because of that, we got less headroom than what you would have normally. Now let's look at that.
As you can see right here, we're looking at that instrument cluster, and you see how we're there we go, almost
Okay.
in the windshield line.
So the original dash, is like right here on the 68, and now look at how much we cut down. We cut this thing down. This dash was up to here.
Yeah.
All right. So we cut the whole top of it, brought it down, and we're about to set that piece on and show you. But then I'm sitting there in the driver's seat, and we're looking out, and I'm like, man, there's another inch to inch and a half of thick junk in your way that when you're sitting there, you have less visibility. And so because we brought the roof down, we didn't really bring the roof down, we brought the body down. Because we brought the body down, the roof is lower, you got less, you got more of a pillbox type thing going on there. So anything that can help your visibility makes the cabin more airy, and it's just better. But also it's just not wrong. How about that?
Yeah.
The other way is just wrong.
It is correct.
All right. So we fabricated out of this stuff called hardboard. And if you're watching our last video, if you've watched several of our videos, then you know about hardboard. And I'm going to, here once again, I'm going to walk around and try to find a piece to show you because you may not have seen it in the last video. But this hardboard is really cool stuff. It's moldable. I actually was able to take and break this lip down. This is the same stuff. That's aluminum. But this is hardboard, and that's hardboard. And this stuff is really cool. It's aluminum sandwiched on a PVC layer, and you can take and you can mold it. Again, this is magic material. Yeah. It's lightweight, it's stiff, it's completely resistant to moisture.
Yeah, it cuts.
So it is a fabricator's dream for all kinds of stuff. And again, like I said in the last video, this was invented to wrap gas station canopies to make them look all slick and modern. Okay, yep. But it's cheap. Anyway.
So we cut that, bent the lip and everything, got it in place, and then we have this material right here in spades, and we used it to wrap and finish this out. And it's got a very nice,
it's tactile. You feel it. It feels like, ooh, that's like something I want to rub up against.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, but now if you don't have that material, then you can cover it and you can paint it.
Well, you can buy suede too. I mean, you can get Alcantara-like material off of Amazon. There's all sorts of options out there that are available to you, and they don't break the bank. So
inexpensive. Okay, we didn't have to paint it because we had that material.
Right.
But this is as those of you who might be familiar with a B-body dash. That's if you look nearly, they can see where the vents are and everything. Yeah. That was the speaker. Those were the vent holes. Anyway, this is something that we fabricated just to
direct the air
to cover that and direct the air towards the windshield. Yeah. But
while we're talking about air and directing it, let's show them what you did here.
Okay,
that's really key.
Before we do that, we want to talk about this. You're exactly right. Okay.
Yeah, so we were cutting all of this out and getting the Challenger dash out of our way, and of course that meant some of this had to go. The ductwork that was there. Now, as you can see, this is all still Challenger, unmolested. And that's where we stopped because we wanted to maintain this as much as we could. But that also meant that we have some challenges here with our ductwork, and I'll let Michael describe what he did here.
Okay, so if you look here, you see that metal right there? That line right there is where the dash, where the cowl came up. And then this also is original Challenger cowl. So this sort of shows you where the windshield was on the Challenger. The windshield came all the way out to here. I had firewall there. It came up. There was a foam-filled cavity here, and then all this was not here. None of this metal that you see here was here. We fabricated all this. So this went up and out, right? Up and out, and it caught the lip of the windshield. And so where all this metal is, this is the base of the windshield of the B-body right here, okay? Where all this is was all open space in the Challenger. And so the way this was designed, okay, I don't want to get this. So look, these two registers were fed by this main upper vent extract or outlet, okay? So there's one here that's open, you can see it. This one's covered. And they went up and out that way. And then this whole piece that you see here, let me just grab this one, was all the way out over all this where we have metal now. So just stay right there, Lee, and I'll walk around this side. So all this stuff was all the way out here, okay? Not this, just this thing. Yeah. This, and you can see the way the leading edge is. That's where it was.
Yeah, that basically marks the windshield.
And then the defrost came all the way out here further and caught all that, okay? And all we had left was these pieces that went to these registers in a big open hole because we had to cut all that away. And I was going to use vacuum cleaner hose, and it would have worked. And it's similar to what you see in old cars. But we were looking at it, and I'm looking at these pieces. I'm like, wow, they sure are kind of nicely molded, and they really handle the air in a very smooth fashion. And the smoother it is, the better flow you're going to get. So we thought, well, if we can reuse these, all the better. Yeah. But how do you make this attached to this? All right. Well, again, this is the cool thing where you take problems and you just see what'll happen, what's going to happen, because this is just going to be thrown away. It's junk if I'm not going to use it. So I'm not going to lose anything. So we got the heat gun out, and I've seen people do this with bumpers and things, and I've heard about welding plastic. We were like, let's just try it. And so you kind of had to figure out your own technique and the way we did it. But I'll tell you what we did, and you can do this too. Hair dryer is not enough, but a heat gun. We found that if you take a heat gun, well, first thing you got to do is cut all this where it's going to fit. So this was already here, this piece here, and this piece was all. This is all open, and it went straight up. So we cut all the pieces so that they would go together. And then you take a heat gun, and you get it to this point where it's almost like putty. And I started out trying to use a screwdriver, and it was finicky, and then I just put on a set of work gloves. And when you get it to that point, you got the work gloves on, and as long as you work quickly, you can't just hold your hand because the heat will eventually. Yeah. But you can take and you just start to smear it with your thumb. And it's like magic. Look at that. So this is another thing. Like this thing, you see how thick it is here? It was that thick all the way. And so we had to take, and that's literally welded with the gloves and the heat gun. That's all it was. And so I did that so that you can see it when it's in place. I'll show you when it's in place. When it's in place, it clears. Okay, you see that big wiring harness and all that? That's why I needed to. So now all that clears. It goes in here. But now here's the next part. The reason all this was because these are the vents, the exhaust vents for the defrost. Yeah. So that we did not need to cover those. So that's another reason why this all had to come forward. So essentially, this is where it was, but it was all out here. And so we cut it and brought it in. And again, as long as they're like materials, plastic, as long as they're the same type plastic, you can take that heat gun and it's like magic. And it's not the prettiest thing, but it's sealed. It does the job. And we're going to have full functioning vents. Yeah. And then the defrost is going to come straight up into where you see the dash hole there. And all right, so the next thing also, while we're talking about this, because I guess we'll say the money shot will be we'll put the dash place and then they'll see it. Yeah. But
you need to have a wiper.
Yeah, so we've got a couple cars without wipers, and one of the most harrowing.
This one right here.
Yeah, right.
I was in Indianapolis and a deluge.
No. It was the storm of the century.
Yeah.
Like we saw animals start lining up 2 by 2. I mean, it was a serious.
It was.
And Lee was driving. It was scary.
It was very bad.
I think it's the most scared I've been. And
well, yeah, I had zero visibility. I did not know where I was.
I would say you were like 20%.
Yeah. Michael was having to watch the side of the road up there. That was really my own.
This is an old NASCAR chassis, so
he was acting as my feeler gauge to see where I was on the road.
I was feeling it all right.
Oof, I was too. It was scary and harrowing. So we don't want to do that anymore. So now we got to have at least
One wiper.
One wiper. That's like
At
our
least for
rule.
the driver, yeah.
I mean, the driver needs to be able to see.
So on the Translammed, we used a factory wiper motor and a single arm, and we did a central wiper, which is kind of cool. I really like how that one turned out. On this one, the factory wiper motor wasn't really going to work, and we didn't have room to have that thing spin around, because a wiper motor on a front wiper, it doesn't go like this. The motor goes like this. It's like a train, and it uses the arm like a train, like the old school trains, how they go like that. Anyway, like a camshaft or like a crankshaft. I mean, anyway. But on the Bronco, we I went to the junkyard, and it was like a Honda Passport rear window wiper, and they've got them on minivans, all kinds of things. And I bought one of those from the junkyard, and we made it work. And that type of wiper doesn't have the roundy round. It's not as strong, and it's more complicated, and it can't go as fast, but it'll just sweep up 90 degree down, 90, 90, 90, 90. All right, so anyway, on this one, I was looking on eBay. I don't know, I think someone told me about this, but no, I know, I saw it on somebody else's video. I'm sharing the knowledge I got off somebody else's video to you. We saw that they make these wiper motors for ATVs, and I say ATVs like side by sides.
Yeah.
And so you can buy these for like $30, and they got an arm and everything, and they're the 90-degree sweep. And so we bought one. So we're going to give it a try. And this is basically in the same location, although you don't have to do that. You could put it in the middle like we did if you're doing a single wiper. You can't do two like this because they're not going to be in sync, and they'd start hitting each other. So this only works for a one wiper setup. But the thing that you're going to run into on any type of deal like this is setting up the arm. You think that it's just a simple, just one-dimensional. It's not. It's working in 3 dimensions. So the length of the arm is important. The way it's bent at the end is important. The length of the blade is important. There's all these things that are important, but they're all adjustable. Okay. So like, for instance, on this one, we discovered we wanted a long arm. I figured we wanted a long arm because this is not a side-by-side, it's a car. And so we found one that had some of these have shorter arms. Anyway, we bought one that had a longer arm. And then we found out when we put this about in the stock location that when it sweeps, it's it's going to catch there, and then it's kind of high here, right? So we were looking at that, and we found that this arm needs to be shortened. Now, all this is, it's easily done. You just take this rivet out and you move it in, and so all that can be done. That's what we're going to do. But the length, so we found, and then we first had this. This is the wider blade, and with the wider blade in there, and it's wider by about 2 inches. It was really getting over into the area. Okay, all right. But you want a wider blade because that's surface area. So, but anyway, we put the small blade in, it still made contact. So then we were looking at it, we're like, okay, if we shorten this though to back here, and you just have to play with it and then now this is the longer blade, and watch, boom, look at that. It doesn't touch a thing. It sweeps the whole windshield area. So all we got to do, if you look at that where that makes contact, is we're just going to have to bring this back and shorten it by about, I don't know, 3 inches.
Yeah.
So these are the kind of things that you can do. And those are the kind of things you have to consider. And then the other thing again was this bend here. So that bend is just a little too much. I'm going to put it back in the vise, and because when it's at full park, you want it to be parallel with the bottom, with the base.
Yeah.
And so right now it's a little down. It's a little up here, a little down there. So we'll have to go back and bend that back just a little bit. We overbent it just a little bit much. Anyway.
I want to get a shot of the motor here. See it down in here. There it is. Right there.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and put that dash back in.
Let's do that. Now, the only thing that's going to be left after we put this in is that was back to our pop rivet discussion. You see that thick foam? And, modern cars, they use that, so it's called a soft touch area. Ooh, I touch it and it's soft. It bounces back from my fingers, and it doesn't feel like cheap plastic. But once again, those other type rivets would not have worked in that. They would have exploded too far down in, and they wouldn't have pulled it up. But we're wanting to use pop rivets for the makeup panel to attach what we just showed you to the dash. So we're going to have a piece of metal that'll go up and catch, and then we'll have a mounting point here and a mounting point here and a mounting point here, and then that'll be all together. And then also another thing you need to consider if you don't like rattles, like this is some of the stuff that was from the trunk area. We're going to go ahead and place this up underneath here. There, that's how we're going to do it. Yeah. And that is going to buffer, so we'll cut down on some of the rattles. These are things that we've learned over the years in doing these body swaps. Because, I mean, if you don't do this kind of stuff, you're going to end up with something that sounds like a bucket of bolts going down the road.
Noise? I think it's in the dash.
Right.
I don't think it's something. It's nothing major.
It can be maddening. Yeah.
It's not major.
So
in fact, we had that discussion today on the way to work, right? We were riding in Trans Slam. You're like, what's that noise? I think we picked up some leaves.
We need to make a t-shirt that says, what's that noise?
What's that noise?
But yeah, actually, it's so low to the ground, we picked up a twig or something.
Yeah.
The only other thing that we got to do before we attach all this is we got to get a new, we accidentally damaged the headlights. Headlight. Hey, look, I said we. I'm not throwing you under the bus.
I got all crazy with the saws.
I'm not throwing you under the bus. It was both of us. We did it. We'll have to fix that. But again, that's another. It's a thing to mention because stuff like this is important. You know, you want your automatic headlights work. That'd be kind of cool, right? All it takes is drilling a hole.
Right.
So we'll drill a hole in the dash, pop it through there, and you got all this functionality, all this modern functionality, and it's just great. Yeah. That's how it's going to go.
There
Look at that.
You go. Loving it. Loving it. And by the way, we've got some weather stripping. We're going to seal these vents where they connect to the registers right here.
You can go to Walmart and buy, I don't know.
It's around here somewhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to seal that up. And I think it's going to be the best HVAC system we've had in any of the vehicles.
It's going to be the best, yeah. No, it won't be better than
Bronco.
Bronco is great because we didn't even have to. That dash is completely intact except for the defrost.
Yeah. The only thing about the Bronco is that
this will be the best.
That one door.
This will be the best. Yeah, because
when you're on the gas.
Listen to that. No, this will be the best because the defrost will be way better. The Bronco defrost is not very good. Okay, so you stay there. I'll bring it to you.
I'm going to stay right here.
Yep.
Oh man.
That needs to pull down just a little bit. So pull it towards you just a little bit.
I mean, for us,
you see the hole. You see the holes right here.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, there it goes.
For us, this is very, very exciting.
Yeah, because
oh my goodness,
it looks so nice.
It looks spectacular.
Okay, let's talk about something else. Especially if you're doing a B body Challenger swap like we are, and you're wanting to use a similar type deal that we did here. So Steve Mirabelli, again, he's the grand master at this. He's been doing it a lot longer than we have. He did not use vent windows. If you watch his build, he had this full glass. He's doing a lot higher end stuff than we are. We'll just say it's a lot nicer. But we already had all this stuff. Roll up windows, hey, great. The vent windows. Who doesn't like a vent window, right? Why'd they get rid of these things? But again, this whole problem with the body being higher on a modern car, this sucker. Oh yeah,
that's right.
Give it a pull. There we go. Okay. So we had to make these cutouts because the vent windows were swinging into the area of the dash here. So now you can see no problemo, right? It just clears, right?
Yep.
But we had to clear it. And if you can kind of go over there, Lee, and that's the one that was more of a problem. So you can see, to accommodate this, we actually made this little shelf here, and we covered it with the material, and we did this little cutout right there, so that you got to think through all this, or you'll put the car together, you'll be like, oh, our vent windows don't work. So anyway, that's catching.
So we're catching just a slight bit on the register there, but a little bit of adjustment. Once we set the vents completely, the duct work, it'll be pulled back and it'll clear that.
Yeah, and this is where all that popper discussion is going to be made.
Yeah, right here.
There we go. So a piece of aluminum we fabricated, and we're going to cover up this. It's not a Challenger anymore. Okay. Anyway, and we're going to pop rivet all that together. So that's it.
And that's it. Look at that dash, guys. That's awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for watching us, and like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. Thanks, guys.